So, Mr. Michael Woodford, welcome to Warwick TV and to Warwick.
It's good to be here.
Thank you for taking the time to sit down with us before addressing the PPE Society. I used a phrase that I was quite fond of, which is that the cream rises to the top, but so does Deadwood. So if that's true...
Not just Deadwood.
if that's true, then how do we prevent poor corporate governance from arising?
I think the trouble with society is sometimes, if you join a large organisation, sometimes the brightest people are the most threatening. And sometimes the mediocre people who get on with everyone are the ones who rise. There's no format to stop that. If you have strong management at the top, hopefully they will choose
the right
strong
people
management beneath them.
So on that, you also said that you learned quite a lot of your sort of morals from your early childhood. I noticed that you said you stole a very small amount of money from your mother, and the repercussions from that sort of guided you in life. Are therefore sort of ethical corporate governance courses, are they worth their salt, or?
I don't think so. I don't think you can teach ethics. I think you know, if you're at university, by that time your values are forged, probably way earlier.
Exactly. So
it's like leadership courses. I'm rather cynical of those too. There's certain attributes of people which are there or they're not.
And how do you sort of pick out those aspects of leadership? Is it, you know, what do you look for?
I think you look at the way a person acts within a group of people, because natural leadership comes through. You start seeing people being deferential or acknowledging and going with the viewpoint of somebody who's a leader. And it's not always the sort of macho dominant sort of jock of the football team. Sometimes it's the more subtle and nuanced person who...
Absolutely. And is that something you've learnt working in Japan? Is that the more culture there to be more deferential? And
I mean, in Japan is not a meritocracy. Most promotion is based on age and the university you went to. If you're young and brilliant, you're just going to have to wait your turn, which is such a waste. And if you're a woman in Japan, never mind at senior management, middle and junior management, few women make it to the upper levels.
To the top. The other question I was going to ask is, again, on this sort of ethical corporate governance, which I'm very interested in, is enough focus given to it, sort of human rights abuses on the supply chain or very poor working conditions? And do you feel more focus for directors or training should be given on that rather than just the bottom line? I hear the bottom line talked about so often.
I mean, organisations aren't good at policing themselves. So the example you gave in the retail industry for clothing, really, you know, the public gets what the public wants, and if you're a company which is saying, you know, we pay this salary and these are the conditions people work in, and you pay a little bit more for that, then, you know, it's up to all of us to make those choices. You have to look at society, not I think the boardroom.
Okay, so looking at society, do you think starting salaries in many industries now are too high for people who've just graduated? Because I know there's a lot of student debt and things like that, but equally, I sometimes feel that occasionally it sets out from day one, what's in it for me, what's my compensation, not what I'm doing. And do you think that is right from the outset a bit of a problem?
It's interesting because, I mean, the PPE Society, you know, a lot of people there will go into the finance industry. If you look at journalism, and journalists were the heroes in my story, you know, they can have the very best degrees from the very best universities, but they're paid modestly. And it's self-selecting. I think, you know, you make your judgments, and some people are motivated by the red Porsche and lots of dosh, and others for the sort of intellectual stimulus of, you know, hopefully telling the truth and bringing a story which matters. That's why I generally would prefer to have a dinner party of journalists than bankers.
It's fair enough.
I did say bankers.
It's a fair choice. So the next question I was going to give is, when you come and give speeches at universities or even interviews like this, the people watching you speak might be the leaders of tomorrow. So
and some of them will be.
Touch wood, especially
you
here.
might be.
Well, hopefully even better. So what advice do you wish you had been given at their age, given the career that you've had?
You know, I always have a questioning of business language, or people who've been on MBA courses, and what I try to do when I talk is show the sort of the common sense and the need to be recognizing of human attributes, and those things can be very negative. So it's just saying this is what we're like, and you can dress it up with lots of jargon, but never forget to be questioning and cynical of those around you. That's what I try to impart.
And obviously, speaking of cynical, that's what you've become very well known for, of the Olympus scandal, and you thought I might have avoided it completely, but I've got one or two questions.
Sure.
You were there for 30 years. Did that make it more difficult to turn whistleblower, or did that make you want to do right by the company more?
I think I would have been the same if it had been 5 years or 30 years. The duration made me want to fight to take control of the company and not leave it in the hands of those who brought about such misfortune for the organisation.
I believe that's our beeper, but I'm going to be cheeky and ask one last question, which is just, I presume the answer is no, but I've always been interested. Was there ever a moment or even a second that when you were having to sort of block up your letterbox or have armed guards, did you ever just think, I just wish I'd left it alone, or why me, or whatever? Or was the drive always there that this had to be fixed?
It was always a sort of theoretical academic question, because I was already too far along the bridge. There was no going back.
Yeah.
You know, logically, there was no going back.
Okay. So it was just one of those.
Such things.
No, it's a good attitude. Well, Mr. Michael Woodford, thank you so much. Enjoy your talk.
Thank you for the interview.
Oh, thank you.